Folks, it's, blimey, I don't even know what day it is. I've been flat on my back for a few days since the end of shifts happened. I've been sleeping 9 hours a day. I'm back now. I'm sort of 80% recovered. It's the 12th of May. I think it's a Monday. I don't know. And it's the full moon in Scorpio. Now, the full moon is going to be in about 2 hours from now, UK time. So, yeah, not many of you will see this before it's actually full moon, but it is full moon. Now, I was out there looking at it last night. Full moon in Scorpio. Normally, you say those words to any astrological student or practitioner, and they're going to go, ooh, ooh, caution, caution, because it's enough to send chills down the spine of most people when you say it's full moon in Scorpio. Looking at the moon last night, I realised that the moon is, I think it's apogee where it's furthest away. It might be perigee, I don't know. As I get older, I'm getting things mixed up. But the moon is a long way away from the Earth at the moment. The moon is much smaller to our eye than it normally is. So it tells me it's a long way from the Earth, much further than normal. Now, this doesn't diminish from its influence. But as I said over the weekend workshops with a number of people, if you really want to practice being an astrologer, and you really want to get sharp, then put the chart in front of you that you're looking at and then take away the sun signs around the outside and take away the houses so that all you're left with are the planets and the aspects. Because in my opinion, and my opinion only, it is the aspects of a chart that are the strongest. And I can do a reading based on the aspects without knowing what sign or house the planets are in. But without knowing where the planets are, I can't just look at the signs and houses and do a definition of character or forecast of events. And the aspects of this full moon are not that strong. There is a weak opposition to Uranus. Weak. And today, in about 3 hours from now, Mercury in the sky will square Pluto. And then in 3 or 4 days' time, Mercury in the sky will square Mars. So the Mercury-Mars-Pluto opposition has now faded. And I can't believe I'm saying this because I remember saying in late October, early November, oh, this is going to last for 7 months. This is going to be a real stinker. And now we're at the end of it. Mars is no longer opposite Pluto. That in itself is cause for celebration. We've got through it amazingly. And yes, the world's a different place. And battle lines have been much more clearly drawn. And there's a lot more anger and warfare. And I'm sorry to say it, but hatred in the world. Russia is still being Russia. The war in Ukraine is still going on. The Palestinians and the Israelis are still at each other's throats as they have been for 5,000 years and will be forever until either one of them is completely wiped out in a genocidal act which reflects badly on every single human, or until they reach a consensus, and that isn't going to happen whilst these hardcore fundamentalists on both sides who are going, my God is better than yours. It is a fight in religion's name only, and that is stupid. India and Pakistan are fighting each other, and yes, some people have died, so it has to be taken seriously, but it is a bit handbags at dawn. And there's alienation everywhere, and Sometimes I despair of humanity, I really do. And yet, last week I was surrounded by 100 people physically and another 150 virtually, and on the last day 6 to 10,000 online, and everyone at the conference, there was from 19 different countries with 92 different people, and online there was another 21 different countries, and we had a tribe. We had a tribe of people different in age, colour, nationality, religion, ethnic origin, wealth, all unified by a love of astrology. That's a tribe. And then we had to come back into the real world. Now, at the start of this month, I said that this month was going to be easier than the previous couple of months. And I'm still saying that because, it's full moon in Scorpio today, now. And Mercury square Pluto today. And Mercury will square Mars in 3 or 4 days' time. But then we head into a hiatus. And of course the rhetoric will still go on. And of course things will happen. That's the human nature. But the level of intensity and extremism is in abeyance, at least in the short to medium term. And this will now continue for the majority of this month, from my astrological perspective. However, there is going to be a sudden upsurge over the period of the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th of May. Now, at this time, Mercury conjuncting Saturn. Wrong. Mercury, just checking my data. Mercury will be in Gemini conjuncting Uranus at the end of Taurus. It will be sextiling Saturn and Neptune. It will be trining Pluto. This is over the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. So over a 2.5 day period, Mercury in the sky is going to make positive aspects to all of the outer planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. So on the surface, this is cause for celebration. There should be some interesting news, which I am cautiously optimistic about. Some type of breakthrough, whether it's innovative, as in terms of some type of novelty, innovation, or whether it's a breakthrough in peace talks amongst the warring factions in the world, or maybe a combination of both. And of course, certain individuals will go, well, it's down to me. I did it all. But the intelligent people will not buy into that hype and spin, and they'll just put a lot of nice energy out and say, let's try and keep this going now. But that's not all. I use both the heliocentric and the geocentric forms of astrology. The difference between the two is that geocentric puts the Earth and the individual at the centre of the horoscope. Thus, it's from an Earth-based perspective, which is why sometimes we see planets go backwards because we're going faster than them. It's like being in an express train overtaking a commuter train going in the same direction. But this heliocentric astrology, which doesn't deal with the affairs of humans, it deals with weather and earthquakes and volcanoes and the big global picture. And you don't get retrogrades there because the sun is in the middle of the horoscope. Now, Saturn is going to move geocentrically into Aries on the 27th or the 25th, at the end of May. Within 48 hours of that, 36 hours of that, Neptune is heliocentrically going to move into Aries. So there is a case for saying that the true Saturn-Neptune conjunction, I know that from a geocentric perspective it happens once and once only at the end of February next year. But I think we're in range and I think it's happening now. Now this is happening in that 3 or 4 day window at the end of the month, and It's also the Gemini new moon at 6 degrees of Gemini, trining Pluto, and at the degree where Uranus is going to be spending a lot of time over the next couple of years. So I retain a degree of cautious optimism. Around the end of this month, I think there can be some startling breakthroughs, some really interesting developments that are going to shake up a lot of people, because there's something coming in from left field, but no one's really thinking about it at the moment. And I don't really think I'm talking about aliens or ETs, so let's not go down that road. But there is going to be some type of surprise, and not shock, but surprise, which is going to give a lot of people just a little bit of, I think karma can be a bitch sometimes. And I suspect that one or two people are going to be left with egg on their face at the end of this month, because there's some news coming which is going to, that's going to change the dynamic at the end of this month, before the end of this month. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be occurring between late on the 24th and late on the 27th UK time. Watch this space. Watch this space. New moon, Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries in different forms, and lots of nice Mercury aspects all at the same time. Yeah, there's some type of innovative breakthrough and communication upgrade coming up. We chose exactly the right time to do that conference. We will pretty much, we haven't committed, but we're going to do it again next year. And next year we hope we're going to get more people. I will announce news on this once we've confirmed the dates and signed a contract. We're going to put a poll out in the next few days on a YouTube video, not this one, but on another one, about when's the best time for people. But we're going to, obviously the people who've already attended will have the main say. Enough of that. Once we're into June, things are going to start changing really fast. Once we're into the second week of June, there's going to be a 2 or 3 day period where everything's going to go a little bit crazy as Jupiter moves into Cancer. And then once we're into early July, Uranus moves into Gemini, and that is a totally different ball game. There's some big changes coming up, folks, but as I have said a number of times in the last year, the changes of 2025 and early 2026 from now on are less intense, extreme, and enduring, and more specific, short, sharp. The pressure and gravity, the density and intensity of March and April is over. And we can now dare to begin to dream of a better future for us all. I know that is of little consolation to those people who are suffering, and the disparity between the sickness of having 2% of the world owning 98% of the wealth, whilst 1 billion people are living below the poverty line, approaching starvation, is obscene. And of course there are people who will hear me and go, he's just a left-wing communist, what does he know? But that's your right. But in the short term, this next few weeks, certainly for the next, where are we now, 12th, for the next week and a half, it's going to be a bit calmer, and then we're going to get a sudden upgrade, and I'm looking forward to that period. You heard it here, 24th to the 27th of May. Something's coming in from left field, and it's going to be different, and I think it's going to be really stimulating for the vast majority of us. Right, I'm back. I'm 85% back from Shifts Happen. Catch you later, world. Bye.